Wait a minute. Groovy. And cut!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the few good movies to release in 2024. The Substance. A brilliantly disgusting satire of femininity, beauty, and Hollywood that's sure to please fans of body horror flicks and Twilight Zone twists. No, we're not doing a poem in this video. Directed by Coralie Fargeat, or is that Farge? I think that's right. 5 years of French immersion as a kid, and that's the best I can do. Je suis triste. The film stars Demi Moore as Elizabeth Sparkle, Margaret Qualley as Sue, and Dennis Quaid as Harvey. And while it's arguable as to whether or not this is the best movie of 2024, it's an undeniable contender for top 10. It's also one of Demi Moore's best performances. I said one of her best performances, okay?
Yes.
I get it. Body horror isn't for everyone. Some people don't care about symbolism. Not everyone grew up watching The Twilight Zone. Fair enough. But that doesn't change how innovative and sharp The Substance is. For those of us who like this kind of stuff, this movie is gold. Well crafted and disturbing and titillating and absolutely on point. It's a film that you can spend hours discussing and dissecting. Now, I'm not going to do that. Alas, I don't have the patience to spend a month working on a review video. I'm getting older, and I just don't have the energy for that. If only there was a way for me to birth a younger, better version of myself out of my back. If only there was a way to harness the vitality of my youth. But there isn't, so let's get this Coles Notes version started.
This movie is awesome, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it.
Alright, Okay, here we go. Let's start with an egg. Inject it with a little something something, and boom, 2 yolks. And off to Hollywood, where we're introduced to Elizabeth Sparkle by way of a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's an aging film star turned TV aerobics instructor who is unceremoniously fired by Harvey, her show's producer, on her 50th birthday. Harvey, who doesn't have a last name in this movie, but I think we all know what his last name is. Anyway, Harvey isn't content with an Oscar-winning actress for his show.
Oh, Oscar winner, my ass. When was that? Back in the 30s? What? For King Kong?
No, he wants someone young and new.
I have to give people what they want. That's what keeps the shareholders happy.
Elizabeth is abandoned, and driving home, she is distracted by workers removing her image from a billboard. She drives through an intersection and is T-boned by another vehicle. Luckily, Elizabeth isn't injured, which is crazy because getting hit that hard by a metaphor would normally cause some pretty serious damage. But yeah, she's physically okay. Emotionally, not so much. So before she is discharged, a young nurse with a very noticeable birthmark scar thingy gives her a quick exam and sneaks a flash drive into her coat pocket. Outside, Elizabeth runs into Fred, an old schoolmate, who asks her out. Back at her condo, Elizabeth plugs the flash drive into her TV and watches a video marketing The Substance, a black market drug that promises to, screw that. Elizabeth decides to go out and get pissed. She drinks until self-pity sets in and her drunken ruminations provoke her to root around in the garbage for the flash drive. Depressed and desperate, Elizabeth calls the number and talks to a mysterious voice who exchanges addresses with her. The next morning, going through her mail, Elizabeth finds an ad in the newspaper looking for her replacement. She then opens an envelope from the Substance folks which contains a numbered keycard, and after traveling to the address she was given, Elizabeth picks up her starter kit. Now, I don't know how much I can show here without getting banned, so we're going to keep it real safe. But basically, after evaluating her body in the mirror, for quite a while, Elizabeth follows the directions in her starter kit and injects herself with the activator serum. She drops to the floor, convulsing and writhing in pain, until her back splits open and ejects a younger version of herself. Now, there are strict rules for the substance. Elizabeth and her younger self must alternate consciousness every week, every 7 days. While one version is active, the other is comatose, and young Elizabeth, who names herself Sue, must extract spinal fluid, or something like that, and inject it every day to stabilize herself and prevent deterioration. So, Sue gets to work, stitching up her old body and preparing the intravenous foodstuffs for Elizabeth for the coming week. Sue auditions for the vacant position of TV aerobics instructor and immediately gets the job. Even with the condition of being absent every other week, Harvey is head over heels for Sue. She spends the rest of the week preparing for her show, buying new clothes, choreographing dance moves, all the things. And once the week has passed, Sue follows procedure and switches back with Elizabeth, who spends her week watching TV. She pops out to pick up a refill for the substance and then back to Sue. Sue decides to renovate the bathroom to create a hidden storage area for the comatose Elizabeth. I mean, you can't just have a lifeless body hanging around the condo. What would the neighbors think?
You wanted to complain about something?
What? No. No. I'm actually quite handy if you ever need me to be of aid in any way.
Right, so Sue dumps Elizabeth in the storage area and then performs for her first episode of Pump It Up, the revamped version of Sparkle Your Life. It goes well. I mean, holy mother of...
Wow.
Is anyone else getting, You know what? Never mind. Let's keep things moving. Riding high on her success, Sue catsuits it up for a night on the town instead of alternating with Elizabeth. She brings a guy back home with her and they start making out until Sue starts getting disoriented and blood drips from her nose. Unwilling to give up her night of fun, she steals an 8th dose of stabilizing fluid from Elizabeth, despite the explicit warnings. The following day, Elizabeth wakes to a condo filled with beer bottles and trash, and even more concerning, a wonky witch finger. She's horrified by the disfiguration and realizes that Sue has taken some liberties with the substance. She contacts the mysterious voice, looking for a way to reverse the damage.
Obviously, she was drunk.
Remember, there is no she and you. You are one.
Only to be told that there is no way to reverse it.
Respect the balance, and you won't have any more inconveniences.
Elizabeth heads out to pick up another refill package and decides to stop into a restaurant. Sitting across from her is an old man who happens to have the same birthmark scar thingy as that nurse from earlier. Hey.
I was just curious to find out how things were going for you.
He's been having a rough time with the substance and wanted to check in on Elizabeth in the creepiest way he could.
Has she started yet? Eating away at you?
So Elizabeth bolts. Panicked and distressed, probably a little jealous of Sue, she rifles through her stuff and finds Fred's number. She calls him to set up a date, and the two make plans to meet later that night.
Aided Luigi's, it is. I will see you tonight.
As her date approaches, Elizabeth gets dressed and puts on makeup, only to get despondent after comparing herself to Sue. She flips out and gives up on her planned evening, ignoring Fred's texts and resorting to food for comfort. Before waking up from her week-long coma, Sue has a dream that a chicken leg is stuck in her ass. She maneuvers the poultry through her body before removing it through her belly button and waking in a panic. She then finds remnants of Elizabeth's meals strewn about the condo, and she is disgusted.
She wastes 7 days stuffing her face in front of the TV!
Remember, there is no she and you. You are.
And upon arriving at the studio, she finds out that her taping has been canceled, but for good reason.
Ratings are through the roof.
Everyone loves her. So, Harvey wants her to host the New Year's Eve show, the network's most important event.
50 million viewers, live. You can't go higher than that.
Sue pushes the boundaries of the substance, going past the 7-day limit and disfiguring Elizabeth further. Despite their shared consciousness, the two women begin acting like separate entities, jockeying for control.
The balance just needs to be respected.
So respect it.
Their disdain for each other growing with each passing transition. Fed up with her older self,
Control yourself!
Sue keeps Elizabeth under for 3 months until the day before her New Year's Eve special, when she runs out of stabilizer fluid and is forced to switch back.
I need to stabilize myself right now.
You simply have to switch.
Elizabeth emerges as a horrific, deformed troll witch lady thing, and she ain't happy about it. She contacts the mysterious voice and orders a termination package to put an end to Sue. She injects her younger self with the termination serum, but immediately regrets her decision.
You gotta get ready. It's our big night.
She can't bear the thought of being herself and resuscitates Sue, who is now separated from Elizabeth. Realizing what her older self has done, Sue loses her shit and attacks her. They fight through the condo before Sue kicks Elizabeth across the room to her death. While preparing for the New Year's Eve broadcast, Sue starts feeling odd and begins coughing. She slips off to the restroom where she coughs up a tooth, and then more teeth come loose. Sue panics and tries to leave the building. After hiding her missing teeth from Harvey, she jumps in an elevator where her fingernails start falling off, and then her ear. She runs home and injects what's left of the substance activator serum, desperately hoping to birth a better version of herself. But what emerges is an even more grotesque monster than Elizabeth's troll form, a hideous freak of nature. Monstro Elizasu! But it's nothing that can't be fixed with a little bit of makeup and... oh man. Wow. Elizasu returns to the studio where the New Year's Eve show has already begun. She struggles her way on stage and addresses the audience, who are initially confused and repulsed. But the moment passes and confusion and repulsion become fear and chaos. Elizasu is attacked and erupts like a bloody fire hose, dousing the entire audience in gallons of deep red... oh my god, this is crazy. I mean, I can't show any of this. Wait, hold on a second. We'll do it in black and white. There we go. Dousing the entire audience in gallons of deep red gray blood life juice. She leaves the studio and her body deteriorates almost instantly, collapsing into a massive pile of sidewalk goo. Her face, in a grotesque blob-like form, inches its way forward until finding peace on Elizabeth Sparkle's Hollywood Walk of Fame star. A brief hallucination of adoration before melting into a puddle of life juice. Cue the street cleaner. The end. The Substance is a beautiful movie. The cinematography, handled deftly by Ben K, is sharp and polished, eye candy for cinephiles. The use of shape and color adds depth to the symbolism and a dreamlike quality to the events of the film. Editing is on point, and the practical effects blend seamlessly with the minimal use of computer effects. I mean, those prosthetics are just perfect. There's an attention to detail here that really sets the movie apart. But it's not perfect.
What? Why?
There are some elements that don't land flawlessly. The restaurant scene between Elizabeth and the old nurse felt a bit hollow to me, and the use of some cheesy flashbacks were a little bit jarring.
You're still the most beautiful girl in the whole wide world.
Almost as if they were inserted because Coralie didn't have faith in the intelligence of her audience, which, let's be honest here, isn't entirely misguided. And I'm not about to try and say that this is the most original movie of all time. Many of the themes and subjects have been covered by other movies. We're not breaking ground or reinventing the wheel here. That being said, The Substance tackles its themes and inspirations in a refreshing and original way. It's Cronenberg by way of Tarantino, infused with subtle horror nods and copious dashes of feminism.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I absolutely love the fact that this movie was filmed in France. Sure, it was done primarily for the tax credits and didn't necessarily have anything to do with the story, but the beauty of making a movie based in the fakest city in the world and not shooting a single scene there, well, it just adds a little flair to an already impressive film. The skillful use of insert shots and close-ups helps sell the idea that we're knee-deep in authentic Hollywood. As a related aside, the opening shot of Elizabeth's star on the Walk of Fame is fantastic. It's expert-level storytelling. In a single overhead time-lapse, before we even see her face, we learn everything we need to know about Elizabeth. It's beautiful. It's relevant exposition that feels light and effortless, and the symmetry of ending the movie at the same location is very satisfying. When it comes to character and plot development, there is a bit of a caveat here.
What?
If you're watching this movie from a logical perspective, trying to process its narrative as being completely grounded in reality, there are definitely issues.
Excuse me?
Elizabeth and Sue often act comically irrational. Guys, hold the jokes. Sue is almost superhuman for no goddamned reason, really. Harvey is a cartoon character, and so on. But if that's how you're watching the movie, then I'd argue you're missing the point entirely. The Substance is a surrealist body horror flick. All of the characters in this movie are physical manifestations of internal characteristics and struggles. They are representations within a dreamlike reality, meant to illustrate emotions and feelings. Ha! Gay! Elizabeth is insecurity, Sue is confidence, Harvey is judgment. This is also reflected in the depiction of protagonist-antagonist. Elizabeth and Sue work double duty as both hero and villain. Elizabeth is basically her own worst enemy. She and Sue are literally and figuratively two sides of the same coin. It's an approach that could have easily been mangled into a confusing and unsatisfying mess, but it's handled incredibly well. As for pacing and length, I could nitpick here and say that it could have been 20 to 30 minutes shorter and still accomplished the same goal. Don't get me wrong, I love boobs, nothing wrong with a bit of TNA, but there are some excesses here that could have been tightened up. Guys, hold the jokes. Some of the scenes are gratuitous in length for no reason. Not to the point of being annoying or anything like that, but definitely noticeable. However, on the whole, the small imperfections of the film, the occasional misses, don't detract from the hits. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley are fantastic here. And while I think Ray Liotta, who was originally cast in the role of Harvey, would have been better, there's something about Dennis Quaid's plastic face that sells the character. Honestly, you want to talk body horror, that's some body horror for you. Yikes, dude, settle down. I enjoyed The Substance on first viewing. I thought it was pretty good, but I wasn't head over heels in love with it. But after sitting with it for a while, after a second and third viewing, I have to admit that I'm impressed. I'm sure there are some teenage boys out there who remain unconvinced, who think the movie is too feminine in its subject matter or irrelevant to them because of their age. That's fine. You can't please all the people all the time. Not every movie is for everyone.
That's just the way it is.
But to everyone else, to everyone who can appreciate Cronenberg-level madness, this film is well worth your time. Because The Substance is a truly great movie.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week.